Today, we're going to be talking about writing equations from what's given. So we're going to first identify the slope and the y-intercept from our equation. Reminder, we're looking at y equals mx plus b. Our m is our slope. Our b is our y-intercept. So when I'm looking at this, 5 is my slope, positive 3 is my y-intercept. Okay? So write an equation of the line with a slope of -2 and a y-intercept of 5. Okay? Slope and y-intercept, this is where I begin on my y-axis. All I need to do is plug it in. So I've got my slope as -2. My y-intercept is positive 5, so it says plus b. If I've got a slope of -1 and a y-intercept of 5, I get my y equals negative. You don't have to put the 1x, okay, but you can. Most of the time you're going to see it just negative x plus 5. I don't care which way you do it. I'm just letting you know that this is the most common way that you will see it. And then make sure you're paying attention because this one has switched around. The y-intercept is positive 8 and the slope is 2. So sometimes they like to trick you and reverse them around. Now, sometimes you'll have a graph, okay? So if you'll notice, this is my y-axis, this is my x-axis. Okay, they're kind of faint there. So we have to use rise over run and then find my y-intercept. My y-intercept is right there at 1, 2. I need to find another point. Right there is fine. So my slope, I'm going to rise 2, and I'm going to run 4. This is a negative slope, so I'm going to get -1/2 as my slope. So my equation would be y equals -1/2 x plus 2. We kind of just did it on the line, but we'll do another example. So I find my y-intercept, which is at positive 1. I find another point. I find my slope. I rise 1. I run 2. It is in a positive direction. So my equation is y equals 1/2 x plus 1. Now, when we're looking at point slope form, okay, sometimes you're just going to plug in the numbers if it wants it in point slope form. Sometimes you're going to have to solve. Today, we just want to plug in the numbers. So we have y1 and x1 and then our slope. Okay, so we don't have our y-intercept. So I'm going to label these just like I did when we were doing the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I have y minus, my y1 is 6, equals m, which is 1/2, times x, minus my x1, which is -5, which makes this a positive. Okay? Now, on your stuff, it's not going to have 2 plus signs like I do. It's just going to have 1, and so the ending would really be, the equation would really be y minus 6 equals 1/2 times x plus 5. When I'm looking at number 7, I do the same thing, x1, y1. So y minus a -1, which makes it a positive, equals my slope, which is -1, times x minus, I put plus there, mind me no harm. This should be minus because my formula is always minus. So even though my 3 is positive, my formula says minus, so that's what I have to put. Another way you will see this is y plus 1 equals, sometimes they'll, instead of -1, they'll just put negative and then x minus 3. So just be warned that there are multiple ways to see this. On to the back, we've got it in point slope form, but we want it to be in y equals mx plus b. So here's how you do that. You plug it in to y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 and solve for y. So I've got my x1, y1, so y minus 4 equals 3 times x minus 2. I'm going to distribute. Y minus 4 equals 3x minus 6. I'm going to add my 4 to the other side. I'm kind of going to do it to the side because I just don't have enough room. This is going to cancel out. So I'm going to get y equals 3x minus 2 as my answer. Problem number 9, x1, y1, y minus y1, which is negative 6, that makes it a positive, equals m, which is 0 times x minus my 4, my x1. Now when I distribute my 0, it's going to get me 0, because anything times 0 is 0. I'm going to subtract my 6 to the other side to get y equals negative 6, and that would be my answer. Now, we haven't talked about it yet, but this is going to be a horizontal line on your graph. So it would be, so if this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis, it would look like this. Okay, just so you know. Problem number 10, I've got y, I need a label, x1, y1, y minus my y1, which is negative 8, equals m times x minus x1, which is 0. I distribute, I get y plus 8 equals 1/2 x. I move my 8 to the other side, and I get y equals 1/2 x minus 8. Problem number 11, I've got x1, y1, I've got y minus my y1, which is 0, equals m times x minus x1, which is 5. Y minus 0 is just y. So I can add those together, then distribute on the other side, negative 2x plus 10 to get my answer. Finally, we have write an equation of lines when given 2 points. Okay? So this is probably the most difficult one because you have 4 different steps. You first have to find the slope. So you use your formula of y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I've got x1, y1, x2, y2. y2 is 13 minus y1, which is 4, over x2, which is 5, minus x1, which is 2. I reduce. 13 minus 4 is going to get me 9. 5 minus 2 is 3, and that reduces to 3. So now I have my slope, and I'm going to pick either point. I like choosing the x1, y1 because I'm going to put it into my point slope formula, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I've got my y minus my y1, which is 4, equals m times x minus x1, which is 2. And I'm going to solve for y. Y minus 4 equals 3x minus 6. I'm going to add 4 to both sides to get y equals 3x minus 2. My second one, remember this is just a different problem. Step 4 says solve on y when needed. So sometimes it'll ask you for it in point slope form, which would be this. Sometimes it'll ask you for slope intercept form. Remember this is like my x1, y1, x2, y2. So I've got y minus my y1, which is negative 2, equals m. Oh, darn it, I skipped a step. I need to solve for slope first. So I'm going to take my y2, which is negative 8, minus my y1, which is negative 2, so that's really a plus, divided by x2, which is 4, minus a negative 2. I get negative 6 over positive 6, which reduces to negative 1. Now I put it in point slope form. So y minus y1, which is negative 2, I'm going to use this point again, equals m times x minus x1, which is also negative 2. I'm going to distribute, so I have y plus 2 equals negative x minus 2. I'm going to subtract 2 and get y equals negative x minus 4 as my answer, unless it wants it in point slope form, which it very well could.